And so Nanako's mom tries to go to school because Dozima takes the car. Or no, wait, they don't have a car. Dozima takes the bike. Yeah, no, wait, he does have a car. He takes the car to work. And so his wife has to go take the bus and go to work that way and go pick up Nanako. So one day while she's trying to pick up Nanako during a snowy night, she gets hit and ran over by a white Chevy Jeep, dead on the spot. And so Nanako is just sitting there waiting.
Damn.
Yeah, I want you to remember, Nanako
Welcome,
is a little
guys,
girl.
to the stream. If you're watching, I'm
Hey,
playing Indiana Jones: The Great Circle, and hope you guys enjoy.
heck yeah. I want you to remember, Nanako is no older than like maybe was never coming back ever again. It was merciless. That's fucked up. And so Dojima basically is never at home. So Nanako had you see Nanako appear on the Midnight Channel while you're stuck inside of the precinct because you're not there to protect her. The one night you're not there to save her, she gets taken by the murderer. And there's nothing you can do. Now the gang does come in clutch, but sadly it was already too late. She gets taken. There's nothing you can do about that. Adachi does let you out though, because he's like, shit, y'all been helping us so far, I'm gonna let y'all out. And then Dojima ends up finding the guy because he's tracking him down because he figured out who it was. So Dojima's tracking the dude, he's trying to chase him with the cars, and he ends up getting into a car accident. And so Dojima ends up having to be put in the hospital. So he entrusts you with the will to go and save Nanako. And you have to do that at all costs. Now, you remember what I said about the dungeons being what people think of you as? Right? Nanako's dungeon is a special exception.
Wow, this game looks amazing.
Nanako's dungeon makes me so sad. Because Nanako's dungeon is called Heaven.
Oh.
And the reason it's called Heaven is revealed when you start telling everybody about what happened to Nanako's mother. And they said, oh, so this dungeon must be what Nanako thinks heaven is like. So the group puts it together that the reason why it's heaven is because Nanako wants to see her mother again. And she hopes that she's in heaven. See how fucked.
Yeah.
Because I forgot if it's heaven or if it's actually fucking Persona 4. Well, I was about to say Genesis. Heaven theme. Is this called Heaven? Yeah, it's called Heaven. Here, you know what? I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send it to you right now. Oh, by the way, are you Twitch affiliate?
No.
Oh, then I
think
can say
am.
it. If you're not Twitch affiliate, I can say mirror.
I'm streaming on YouTube.
Oh, same thing. YouTube won't even give you copyright unless you're a YouTube affiliate.
I am YouTube
anything.
affiliated because I have copyrighted. I have copyrighted videos.
Ah, I see. But yeah, Nanako's theme is so sad too. Because it basically, her theme goes over how she feels whenever she wakes up. Because it'll be like, Those Mondays passing by at the door. Like that. Because she's humming the song. Not humming the song, but she's also humming a tune from her favorite commercial. And so you can imagine how bad it fucked me up when you save Nanako, and then after saving her and encountering the guy that's been putting people in TV, the murderer, after you encounter him and you defeat him and he gets put in the hospital, Nanako also gets put in the hospital because she's on critical condition, because she's simply too young to go into the other dimension, so her body can't handle being around the fog effects of the other world, right?
It would be crazy to make
So you're checking in with Nanako and Dojima every couple of days. You're just checking in on them, talking with them every now and again. And then on the final day, you're visiting them. One of the nurses walks up to you, and she goes, "Hey, Nanako, her vitals have suddenly dropped. We need either a guardian or a close relative to come see her." And so you run over there immediately. And then the saddest conversation ensues, because you're just sitting there by the bed holding Nanako's hand. And she's like, "Big brother, is that you?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm here. And she's just slowly holding on, breathing, and she goes, "Big brother, daddy." And then her vitals just drop completely. She's gone.
Damn.
She is gone. That's it. And so you can imagine how fucking hurt Dojima is, because he just walks in too, because he was in an accident, so he can barely walk, so he had to grab some crutches. So he was actively trying to make it there, but he just couldn't. He literally couldn't, so she ended up dying just before he could get there, literally by the door.
If they knew we were here, they would have killed us already.
And so that leads into the final confrontation with the guy that's been pushing people in the TVs. And during this confrontation, you end up talking with him. And he's clearly having a mental breakdown, because he tried to escape out through the window but failed because everybody walked in on him. And so he's clearly not in the right state of mind. He's holding his head, he's looking down at the floor. And he's not stable. He's not stable at all. But let's be honest, you're fucking angry. Because this is a nigga that put all your friends in the TV. This is the man that murdered Nanako. You're fuming. Everybody's fuming. Dude, all the male cast members, Kanji, Yosuke, you, everybody's angry. Everybody wants him to die.
Yeah.
For pretty understandable reasons.
Right.
But the female cast members are like, "No, we shouldn't kill him. We shouldn't kill him at all. We shouldn't do that." And then this is where you could get one of three endings. Because if you choose to kill him and pushing him into the TV, you'll end up getting the bad ending. Which is very understandable, because, you know, you're putting a guy into the TV and doing exactly what he's doing. You're no better than him. But then, if you choose to defuse the situation and say, "No, he didn't do anything wrong." He did wrong shit, but you're not gonna kill him. You will, again, not get a bad ending, but you won't get a good ending either. You'll get the middle ground ending. Why is that a thing? For this reason. If you choose to say, "We're missing something," something just isn't right here. Because his reflection comes on the TV, his shadow is like, "Oh yeah, I'm a murderer. I've killed so many people." And as soon as that came on TV, it clicked. Because I'm like, wait a minute, that's not actually his shadow, because again, that's how everybody in the room is seeing him. He's being projected on the TV in that way. So that's not actually him. And so if you choose the options of, "We're missing something, we actually have to find something else," you'll end up unlocking a certain thing in the game called the Judgment Confidant. And if you read the description on it, it says you are on the path to discover the truth. That's where the plot really thickens, because over this entire time, you've been chasing this one guy, because he's been pushing people in the TV and everything. And then just to find out that he's not actually the murderer. He just has the same abilities as you. And what actually happened was that he was also the man that the woman had an affair with from the beginning of the game. Yep.
Remnants of a warrior outpost.
Yeperinos.
The temple must be nearby.
Now he was doing the cuckolding. He was turning her husband into a cook. But apparently, one day he happened to stumble across the Midnight Channel and saw that she was on the Midnight Channel, and he thought nothing of it because he was drunk. You know, he was like, "Fuck it, I don't know
This is
what the fuck I'm seeing. I'm just go to sleep."
This is where Forrestal cashed in.
So he ends up waking up the next morning, and it
competitor.
turns out she
He was
died on
good.
the Midnight Channel.
He was very, very good.
Señor,
And so he
Nobody has
has
come
this
out of there
idea in his head because he saw somebody else, aka Yukiko, was going to be on the Midnight Channel next, which means she was potentially going to be murdered next. And so he's like, "Hey, cops, why don't y'all go do something about it? I just saw her on the Midnight Channel." And he comes and he talks to the cop and he's like, "Man, if you're really so fucking steadfast on saving her in your delusions, why don't you go save her?" Which gave him the idea that maybe people appearing on the Midnight Channel, which basically means that they want to be put into the TV to be saved. He never knew the entire time that he was accidentally attempting to kill people over the entire game.
Welcome.
It's crazy.
I'm just enjoying the stream. I'm just playing Indiana.
Indiana Jones.
This motherfucker, bruh. I seen the movies. Spiders.
Have you really?
Like spiders, meh. Meh. Spiders, no big deal. And oh my god.
Oh yeah, after you unlock the Judgment Confidant, Nanako ends up being resuscitated back to life. That's amazing. Because, oh yeah, that's why that's the bad ending if you choose to kill him. Because if you kill him, Nanako never comes back to life. She just dies and remains dead. That's it.
Stop.
But if you discover the truth, Nanako will
Stay
come
out
back
of
to
the way.
life because you're on the path to find the truth. That is amazing to me. And so, you are doing the rest of the murder mysteries because you have to try and figure out who the actual murderer is. Like, who could it be? Because the murderer not only has been one step ahead of you the entire game, you've been chasing the wrong person the whole game, so he's literally just been ahead of you the entire time. And on top of that, he also knew where you lived too. Sent you
Just
threatening
like
letters. And then, like,
I guess we'll find
what
out.
the fuck are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to figure that out? But then slowly, the pieces started to click together. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want to admit who it was to myself because I love the character too much. And I'm not gonna lie, it hurt me because he's a fucking snake. It turns out that if you think hard enough about it, and depending on if you have a bond with the character or not, like a high enough bond, like rank 6 with them out of 10, you'll potentially unlock another ending of the game called the accomplice ending, where instead of turning the person in, you choose to work with them. This game has a lot of endings. I want you to know that. They want you to know that this game has more than just one bad ending. They make sure if you messed up at any point, bad ending. And so, after going over whatever person it could be, all the confidants you have, you even thought of it being Dojima himself,
nothing to fear
which would
here.
kind of make sense but also doesn't. Because, again, you've been confiding in
That's what
Dojima, which
scares
makes sense on how he would be a step ahead of you, but it can't be Dojima. In actuality, it's been the one person who has been at every crime scene, has been to every murder, has been around you this entire time. It was, of course, Dojima's partner, Toro Adachi.
That did it.
That's very, very hard to come to terms with because Adachi is another sad character. Kind of. He's more or less a goofball. He's depressed and tries to hide it with his goofy nature. He just slips up every now and again when you talk with him because, again, you're literally a truth magnet. So you're gonna pull it out of that person whether they like it or not. So he's like, huh? What the hell, man? Why am I going over my lore with you? Why am I going over my back with you? Get out of here. And so you confront Adachi, and then he eventually just caves in and runs away to go hide in the alternate dimension. The other world.
That's how it's done.
This is where the final confrontation takes place, because if you have rank 6 with Adachi, you could feel something with him, which is the very strange part. Because Adachi is meant to be your Akechi of Persona 5 for Persona 4. He's meant to be your other half. He is the true antagonist. And this only happens when you reach rank 6 with him. Because any other time, you'll go to the other world and be like, I'm gonna stop you, Adachi. I'm gonna beat you. And so you just leave, and then that gives you time to prepare, grind for levels, and then go fight this nigga. Go fight the final boss of the game, right? But if you're rank 6 with Adachi, the main character himself will be like, I don't know why, but I feel like Adachi's calling me. And it's the craziest thing, too. Because Adachi doesn't even realize it himself that he actually was calling for you. He was calling for the MC. Because he's like, huh?
No time to argue.
Why the hell are you? Where's your little pause?
Give me the whip!
Because you're gonna beat
Adios,
all
senor.
together. The power of friendship, whatever that is. So you have your conversation with Adachi, and you're like, hey, dude, I know there's light in you. I know you had a rough homie. But you don't have to fight. Just turn yourself in. And I was like, dude, I do not care. Life is shit. If you're not top of the class, if you're not the best person in existence, you're not a gifted individual, you're the bottom of the barrel. Life is complete garbage if you're the bottom of the barrel. So I do not care about friendship or friends. That's why I like Adachi, is because he's literally the dark side of humanity that nobody wants to look at. Because if you're not gifted, like for instance with like YouTube and Twitch, if you're not gifted with the most banger personality, or you don't have that great gimmick, you're not taken off.
Where the hell were you?
And that's just the sad reality of the world. Because unless you're black and you have the Corey X Kinship personality, you's not taking off, fam. That's not happening.
Marcus.
Just like my brother's friend Zach. Like, he's uploading content constantly, he's uploading videos constantly, but he doesn't have a good YouTube personality. So none of his videos are actually getting views. That's basically what Adachi is. He's basically literally saying that, and he's literally living the existence of that. If you're the bottom of the barrel, that's just what you are. You're nothing. That peak villain right there. Peak villain right there. And the reason that's important and why the MC and Adachi play so well off of each other is because the MC is, again, just like Adachi, but he's just the average guy. He's still working. Even if he is the bottom of the barrel, he's still working to climb up to the top. Because you can never give up. You can't just lie to yourself. You can't lie to others. You have to believe in yourself and believe in the truth of the world. That's why you unlock the Truth Confidant, aka the Judge. Oh yeah, and Adachi's Confidant is actually called the, what is it called? It's called the Jester Confidant. And then your confidant, actually, like your main confidant, is called the Fool. That was an automatic hint that he's the exact opposite of you. Because you are the Fool. You're not a jester, you're a fool. Well, Adachi is a jester. You even have the same numbers on your cards too. Until you do that thing with Adachi where if you're rank 6 and you have the confrontation with him, his confidant actually shatters and it shows what it really is. It's called the Hunger Confidant. Or Lust if you live in any other country but America. It's not gonna lie, Lust makes a lot more sense. But his confidant is called the Hunger Confidant. And that... amazing.
Vagrant.
I love it because if you max out his confidant, or max out his confidant, if you get his confidant to a high enough rank, you can get Sun Wukong as a persona. What's that? You get the Monkey King as a persona? Yeah. How you get that? The main antagonist is confidant. What? You heard me. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the protagonist's main persona is called Izanagi. And yes, I actually mean the real fictional Japanese person, Izanagi. I forgot to mention that at the start of the game. The reason that's important is because Adachi's dungeon is called Magatsu Inaiba, which is Magatsu Inaiba, which basically means chaos in Japanese. And Inaiba is the city that you're in, so it literally means chaos Inaiba. So you're going through a chaotic version of the city that you're currently living in. That's Adachi's dungeon, because it's literally
Alright,
everything
pal.
flipped upside down.
You can't sleep here.
But Adachi's dungeon is also special because it has a sub-dungeon that you have to go through to progress to the actual dungeon. It's called Magatsu, Magatsu something? I forgot what it's called, but it's Magatsu something. But eventually you make it to the end of the dungeon and you confront Adachi for the final time and you beat him. But during the fight,
Whatever you're up to, pal.
Adachi reveals his persona
Now.
to be Magatsu Izanagi. The exact opposite of Izanagi. Pure-hearted. But Magatsu Izanagi is the literal definition of void. That's literally what his description is. It literally says void. What's the opposite? What's the opposite of light? Not darkness, void.
Is that the best you got?
That literally means there's nothing in his soul. There's not a single ounce of light in that man's being. He is pure evil. Oh yeah, and the reason he killed the reporter chick at the beginning of the game was literally because he was lashing out like a child. You don't wanna have sex with me? I heard you had an affair on TV, but you wanna pass up on me?
I wondered where you'd got to.
Die.
What happened?
Where did he go?
Who?
The giant.
I
Peak
didn't see
incel,
any
bro.
giant.
I caught someone
Peak
breaking into the
incel,
museum.
bro.
He was tall. He took something.
Well, did you see his face?
Scarred. Dark skin. He spoke some form of Latin.
Latin? Well, that is a novelty.
I'm fighting two people on a Zinlasar.
Come on, Marcus. We need to find out what he took.
Yes, right.
Ooh.
This display case has been ransacked. Is there anything missing?
Let's have a look.
We should look around for the exhibits that were in this display. Look at this mess. Exhibits are all over the floor.
Ancient Egyptian,
There we go.
obviously.
Well, like I was about to
A
say,
depiction of
after you
that
beat
step.
Adachi, it actually turns out that Adachi had a spirit inside of him that was actually possessing him. It wasn't making him evil. Adachi was just evil. But he had a spirit inside of him that was giving him the idea of allowing the fog to completely consume Inaiba, so that way shadows will be able to roam freely. And this is the main antagonist of the game. a god. Not the god, but a god. The god, basically like a god of sloth, basically. And so you have to go through a similar segment of Persona 5, where you have to prove to him that he is wrong about humans.
No, this isn't right.
Same vein as Persona 5. You can see where Persona 5 got it from. And my game broke.
Ah, look at this. Ugaritic letters.
My fucking game broke.
It must be from Ras Shamra.
God damn it.
Duck went here? Right, Marcus?
Quite right.
And then when you beat him, he's not actually gone. Cause unlike Yaldabaoth, where you kill Yaldabaoth in Persona 5, when you beat the god in Persona 4, he doesn't disappear. He says, "Hey, you did prove to me that humans do deserve a second chance. But just remember, I'm always here. If y'all ever need me, I'm always here, and I'll cover the world in fog if y'all needed me." And he just disappears. Now after all that, Nanako gets better, Dojima gets better, the fog on Inaba is gone, it's bright sunny days again, you don't hear the dreadful music of Omen playing anymore. You're like, shit nigga, this is the end of the game, we're done. Because your time in Inaba is actually coming to an end. You literally don't have that much time left. You're literally done after that. After that boss battle.
Not quite.
So you're chatting with your friends, you're like, yeah, we did this, we did that, we actually finally stopped the murders, we've done everything we can.
003. What was that?
Seaway expedition.
But then Nanako says something very peculiar. Which is crazy when you think about it. Nanako says something peculiar at the beginning of the game, and she says something peculiar at the end of the game. She says, hey, somebody sent you a letter. It's apparently from Adachi, because after you beat Adachi, you end up sending him to jail.
Let's keep looking.
Don't ask me how this nigga wrote a letter from jail. I can't tell you, because I don't know. I don't know. Adachi's just that guy. And so, he leaves you with one more tidbit. Because when you write you the letter and you read it around everybody, he's like, hey, you actually beat me and I'm not gonna lie. I understand where you're coming from and I know you're right. I wish you was there sooner because maybe I might have changed. Maybe I wouldn't have done all this shit. But it's too late now. I'm still on this path and I'll still believe what I currently believe.
Help me out here.
That's just it. But also, one more little thing to you. Have you ever truly thought where the Midnight Channel came from? See you later. And that's all he leaves you with.
Oh, don't
because that is a question that was bugging me throughout the game. Because you always use the Midnight Channel. You use it to figure out when people are going to be put on the TV or in the TV world. The Midnight Channel is also used for other things like that. You can hear people's voices. It's also where the other world originates from, the Midnight Channel. So it's like, what is the Midnight Channel in actuality? Like, what is it? And so you end up having to go around and do one last investigation.
6 weeks ago.
Because you only have 2 days before you have to go back to your home city. Which means this is the final investigation. And then eventually, some more pieces start to click together because you get the idea of something that also happened to Adachi. Because it happens to Adachi and also happens to the guy that thought he was saving people. They all met a person that granted them their powers because they didn't have the powers when he originally was here. Because Adachi has been here and he never had the powers to do that. To push people to the TV. Same thing with old dude. He never had that power before despite him literally
my
living
class
here.
is covered, of course.
Indiana.
Dawson seems
So
the likely
somebody has
choice.
been granting them powers. And it's
Kittredge.
somebody that also granted you the powers. And that's when it clicked. When you first came to Inaba, somebody shook your hand. Of course, it was that same gas station attendant. The one that's always there by the entrance to Inaba, that always shakes everyone's hands to greet them whenever somebody visits the city. It was them all along.
It's a
Crazy?
beautiful journal, isn't it?
They are never mentioned throughout the game, but the game hints at that constantly if you ever visit there, because they never work there during the day when it's bright and sunny or when it's cloudy.
Doesn't say.
They only come out when it's raining, which is when it's the time for the midnight channel. And so you end up going to the gas station again, and you encounter them, and you're like, "Hey, did you
What are you
shake my
packing?
hand
And just where
when
are you
when I came here?" And you're like,
with the
and it was like, "Oh yeah, I did shake your hand. I shake everybody's hand when they come here." I fucking that's a lot of people's faces, but you know, it is what it is.
You
And so you end up asking them, "Do you know who Adachi is?" And they're like, "Yeah, I know who Adachi is.
There's
I
nothing
shook
to
his
say.
hand when he came in here." Bam! There it is.
This will be a nice gift.
There it is.
She
So it
ran.
literally was
Did
the
I
gas
tell
station
you?
attendant the entire
2
time.
months
And then
back.
once you press them, they're like, "God damn, nigga. It took you so long. Took you so long to remember that I gave you your powers, you dumbass nigga."
She was at
And they
her wit's
literally
end.
reveal that the whole
I didn't
reason
know
why the
what to
fog
say.
exists and
It
why
wouldn't have made
that
a
god
difference.
had that will
She
in
had
the
her
first
moment.
place was actually because of them. They created the fog. They created that god. In fact, the whole reason why there's even a fog in the first place is because whenever they shake a person's hand, they impart with them a part of that power that you have. It's just meant to strive on the fog, to just cause the fog. So they didn't
Was setting
intentionally
out on
mean to
another
awaken your powers or even make the god in the first
escapade.
place. It just kind of happened. Because they was
Though I
bored.
must admit I am intrigued.
And then
Why would the
eventually,
Vatican
at the
want
end of
to
it, they
attack
reveal
us?
themselves.
Exactly.
They revealed
And
themselves
there's
as
only one way to find
Izanami
out.
no
Come now,
Okami.
Indiana, you
Which
can't
if you know
travel to
Japanese
Italy.
folklore
The
or just
college would never
Japanese lore
sanction
period,
leave for this.
you would
Not in
know
the
that
middle of
Izanami
midterms.
is the wife
Marcus,
of
what's done is
Izanagi.
done. Maybe I shouldn't have gone to the Siwa expedition, but it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
And when you
So
got back,
that's a crazy
she
coincidence
wasn't
that
there.
Izanami gave birth to the power of Izanagi, the ability to see the truth. Isn't that crazy?
I gotta go.
So what's the deal with Japanese gods?
Well, Japanese gods are very, very
You can't just run away from your
not cultural
problems,
appropriated,
Indiana.
but they're very cultured, basically. And the reason that's important is because
Watch me.
you have one final confrontation with Izanami no Okami. And during this, I forgot to mention about the Velvet Room, but the Velvet Room doesn't matter because that's where you choose personas and shit. But the Velvet Room actually has an important part in this game because Igor, the guy that's meant to help you, like, he helps you,
Unexplained or
but he
wrong.
doesn't, like,
Stop.
outright
Need
tell
help.
you.
Stop.
Because he
Baby
wants
and
you
Vatican.
as a human
Stop.
representation of the
Indy.
human race. He wants you to figure it out on your own.
My friend, stop.
But even he
Vatican
had
not
the
safe.
had the
Stop.
wool
We'll
pulled
wait
over
for you
his
at
eyes
village steps.
when it came
Stop.
to Izanagi or
Subtlety
Izanami
is a
and
virtue.
Izanagi
Stop.
actually,
I'm telling you.
because he's like, hey, wait, you hear those voices? Because when you visit him, when you're about to go fight Izanami, he's like, you hear those voices? And he combines all the voices together to form this orb. And he outright states, he's like, this orb is from all the bonds that you shared with your friends. Of y'all working together to strive to finally see the truth. This is the orb of true sight. You will use this when the time is right. So when you go to fight Izanami, you end up actually fucking her up a lot. Like during the actual boss battle, you drop her HP